to take advantage of this offer. Enjoy football like never before with BetMGM's live betting options, boosted odds specials, and daily promotions at your fingertips all season long. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use bonus code Caleb200 to win $200 in free bets if either Jacksonville or Cincinnati scores a touchdown. Nothing beats a W at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid in free bets. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Indiana only. Must be 21 or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Let us know what you think and don't miss out on the latest in Fort Wayne sports. Facebook.com/1380 The Fan. Listen live at 1380thefan.com or download our new app.
What if you received your choice of a brand new roof or a house full of windows for free? With Alliance Exteriors' new roof and windows giveaway, you can. Alliance Exteriors is giving away a brand new roof or a house full of windows to one lucky local homeowner. All you need to do is text HOME to 46862 to get the link to enter. That's HOME to 46862. No hooks, no gimmicks. Alliance Exteriors is simply looking to give back and help our community. You can win a new roof or house full of windows for free. A runner-up prize of $4,800 to put towards your next home improvement project is also up for grabs. Text HOME to 46862 to get the link to enter. Plus, if you're the grand prize winner and already have a quote or a job in progress with Alliance Exteriors, they will reimburse you. So no need to wait around for the results to schedule your free, no-pressure estimate. Alliance Exteriors is giving away your choice of a new roof or a house full of windows, no purchase required. Text HOME to 46862 to enter before it's too late.
Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show. I am Justin Kenny. Week 7 is here. We're talking all about it here for the next hour. Breaking down the matchups coming up, particularly in the SAC. It's rivalry week in the SAC, and everybody playing their rival, including Concordia and Wayne, which, de facto, I guess, they're rivals because everybody else is matched up with their rivals. So we'll talk about the SAC coming up tonight. We will have Coach Doug Dinan of the Carroll Chargers on his team. Will host rival Homestead tomorrow night. He'll join us about 6:45. We'll also talk to Coach Josh Gerber, Norwell Knights. His team 5-1 on the regular season, 3-1 in the Northeast 8, fresh off a shutout win over East Noble in a game that surprised a lot of us this past week. And somebody that we're going to talk about that game and more is joining us right now. It's Brice Vance of KPC Media Group. Brice, how are you?
I'm doing great, Justin. How are you?
Good. Great is a strong word, so I'll just go with good. But I'm glad one of us is doing great. So, a team that's not doing great, East Noble. Take us back to last Friday. What the heck happened?
Oh, man. It was – I've been covering this team for 3 years now, and it was by far the worst performance I've seen this team put out there. Maybe since the state finals appearance, but I judge that on a different level because of the competition that they are facing. And but still, it was kind of the same way that the prior week played out against Leo. Norwell comes out, punches East Noble first, and then the Knights don't respond in the first half really like they did against Leo. So then they came out against Leo and made some adjustments and ran the ball really well against Leo in the second half. But the Knights did the polar opposite of that last Friday at Norwell. They come out. Their defense did play better. They didn't give up any points in the second half, but the offense just couldn't get going, couldn't do anything. They weren't running in wide-open running lanes like they have. The biggest play of the night was a 44-yard rush by Kanan Carrico, only to be followed up by an interception in the end zone. So East Noble just kept shooting itself in the foot with turnovers. Uncharacteristic turnovers. It was Rowan Zolman and Kanan Carrico each had a fumble that was just out of character, really, and it just it happened, and it happened, and we didn't really know how the ball came out. It didn't really look like Norwell punched the ball out. The ball just slipped out of their hands, and it was very, very odd performance. They were flat. Luke Amstutz took the blame all on himself and in preparation for that game. And Norwell has been a tricky place for East Noble in the past. Luke Amstutz referenced the 2013 loss down there in Austin. And in 2013, Norwell was a winless team at that point and ended up beating East Noble by 28 points. And so this year was a little bit different, but the sentiment was definitely the same this year.
If you're looking at East Noble as a whole for the season, now sitting at 3-2, and they go to Columbia City tomorrow night, and that's going to be a battle between a pair of teams that are looking to put shutout losses behind them. Columbia City getting shut out to New Haven a week ago. But you look at East Noble's 3 wins coming to teams with a combined 3 wins. They look abysmal in the first half against Leo. They play great in the second half and make that a game, end up losing by 8. And then they lay an egg at Norwell last Friday. So what do we make out of this Knights team? We felt coming out of that Week 4 game against Leo, we couldn't wait till the rematch between these two teams. But were we potentially giving East Noble too much credit? Is this a team with more problems than we realize?
I think so. I think we're starting to see them as they face up the competition. I mean, these last 2 weeks are probably going to be their best regular season opponents throughout the rest of the way. They have Columbia City, like you mentioned, and they have New Haven and Belmont. And I would anticipate and would hope that East Noble turns it around in these next 3 weeks against, some slightly down competition to where they have been playing. But I would say that this is problem forward into that sectional where they could face a Northridge or a Northwood or a Leo again, and they could expose these problems that East Noble has. The passing game, which I thought would be more developed, I mean, I get it that it's a sophomore quarterback, but with the weapons that Xander Brazel has at his disposal, the offensive line that he has, I thought the passing game would be much more complementary to the rushing attack that has been good and has been great at times. Last week was definitely below average. It was Caney Carroll's worst output of the season. He still put up 94 yards, but other than that 44-yard run, it was a lot of 2-3 negative plays, and it just wasn't a lot going for this offense. And that's where East Noble has, really been really good in Luke Amstut's time. He's been able to develop quarterbacks. They've been able to throw the ball all around the yard, put up a lot of points, and then it's, them trying to outscore teams. In these last couple of years, they've had the defense to complement it, and the defense has played well at times, but they still, give up the big play. They don't get stops when they need them, when they were able to get them the last couple of years. And it's just this team that, came in with a lot of question marks and a lot of certainties, and some of those question marks are definitely larger and haven't really been answered as we've gone through, the 2/3 of the season now.
He is Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And, Brice, let's talk a little bit more about Norwell. You saw them last week. They're sitting 5-1. We're going to talk to Coach Josh Gerber here in just a little bit. And it's the second straight year this team has knocked off East Noble in the regular season. And, potentially the second straight year that this team is going to finish second to Leo in the Northeast 8. So what do we take out of the Norwell Knights? It is a junior-laden team. In terms of their top players, when you look at Luke Graft and Brody Bolin and a host of others, does this team, and looking ahead in a sectional 27 where really, nobody is a definite in terms of winning that sectional 27 in 3A, could Norwell be a sneaky pick to maybe make a deep run out of the teams in this area?
I think so. I really liked what I saw out of Luke Graft. He runs really hard. The offensive line is not the biggest, when you compare them to an East Noble or a Leo, but, man, are they aggressive, and they get after you. And they opened up, big holes in that first half. I mean, maybe a little concerned that they didn't have the same output in the second half, but they really relied on their defense, and that defense is good. And I was a little suspect of their pass defense coming into the East Noble game just because there's not a lot of passing offenses that they have faced that have been, super superior to that point. But they really shut down the passing offense attack of East Noble. And I think that really bodes well for them. They really shut down East Noble's offense that I thought would come in and be able to move the ball with some consistency, and they didn't at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if Norwell did make a deep run into a regional, possibly a semi-state. But like you said, that sectional is up for grabs, and I think that Norwell could possibly be considered a favorite or definitely a top contender. And it bodes well, as you mentioned, just them being a junior-laden team for not only this year, but next year as well.
Only 3 teams currently above 500 in that sectional 27, Norwell, Peru, and Oak Hill. So we've seen Norwell play both Peru and Oak Hill in years past and really have the decided advantage against both those teams. So we'll see if it shakes out with the draw a week from Sunday to see who Norwell and everyone else will lead off in the postseason and play. All right, Brice, let's talk Northeast Corner Conference, and let's talk the big division. In a division where you could say nobody wants to win it or everybody wants to win it, and I'm not sure which direction to go, but it's absolute chaos in the big school division of the NECC.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. It's been absolutely wild. You think one week that, hey, this team looks like it's going to go off and take the division by storm, and Angola, when they beat West Noble by a couple of scores a few weeks ago, then they are ravaged with injuries. Andre Tagliaferri, I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know when Tyler Call, the quarterback, is coming back. And they have, dropped their last couple of games here and haven't looked good on offense whatsoever. Then the week after, Garrett, who was 1-0, takes on West Noble, who I think is okay, is a decent team. They lose on a last-second field goal by Julio Macias, who has an absolute rocket for a leg, and he's, getting Division I looks. He went on a visit to Purdue last week, and he's definitely a weapon and has, carried kind of this team on his leg with wins over Fairfield. He hit multiple field goals in that game against Wawasee. I mean, the competition isn't great, which amongst the whole big division, and that's what has made it so fun to follow. You don't know who's going to show up each week and who's going to be the superior team. With the matchup with Lakeland tomorrow, Lakeland beat Angola a couple weeks ago, and I think has a really good chance at beating West Noble tomorrow and making the big division even more chaos and could turn it into a 5-way tie. Credit to Austin Huff from the Goshen News, who did the math and predicted the wins for the next couple of weeks that could make this out to be a 5-way tie. Now, West Noble could eliminate 3 other teams from that even notion or thinking by just simply winning tomorrow. But that seems like a really hard thing to do if you're an NECC big division team right now.
Yeah, some big games coming up in that division tomorrow, Fairfield, Garrett, and the one you mentioned, Lakeland and West Noble as well. Let's look at the small division real quick, and a lot of people just want to hand it to Eastside, but your Cougs sitting 6-0. They have Eastside in Week 8 on the road in Butler, but before they look ahead to that, they have Cherubusco at home tomorrow night, maybe a sneaky, difficult game for your Cougs. They need to take care of business tomorrow before they worry about that big Week 8 showdown with Eastside.
Oh, for sure. I don't think that it's a given to give Central Noble tomorrow's win at all. I think this game that, is built up as a rivalry really has been one-sided, for the last, 20 years, with Busco taking majority of the matchups and Central Noble winning, I think, 2 out of the last, 15 matchups. And being a part of this, quote-unquote rivalry, it's definitely 2 communities that, on Friday night, they don't really like each other. And I anticipate, with both teams that like to run the ball and have really talented guys that can run it, I think is going to be very fun to watch in the trenches. I'm interested in how Central Noble's offensive line handles Hunter Bianski, who has 17 tackles for loss and already through 6 games. And I'm interested to see if Will Hoover, he was kind of bottled up against Lakeland last week, but they had Ashton Smith and Tyler Sischler, who was able to take over and win the game for the Cougars last week over Lakeland. So I'm interested to see if he can break out and have big games that he had earlier in the season. But it's definitely going to be a very fun matchup. And if one of them to win the NECC Small. If Busco wins, they need Central Noble to win next week in Butler. But if Central Noble wins tomorrow, then it's definitely a showdown for the NECC Small Division next week in Butler.
I presume you're headed to Columbia City tomorrow?
I am not. I'm actually headed to Ligonier for West Noble and Lakeland, and I anticipate it'll be a tight game. Neither offense is really explosive. It's definitely going to be a battlefield position, and definitely for West Noble, who has the superior kicker who can kick it from a pretty far distance.
Yeah, Macias is one of the best in the area, no doubt. All right, buddy, appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. We'll catch up to you next week.
Alrighty, thanks, Justin.
That was Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us here to kick off the show, as he does each and every Thursday. We're going to talk more Northeast 8 football when we come back with Coach Josh Gerber of the Norwell Knights. Doug Dinan, Carroll Chargers, also set to join us in this hour. And we'll be back after this. You're listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Are you currently working in construction, farming, or similar jobs and looking to get into a more stable and rewarding career instead? Well, listen up. Paul Davis, the industry leader in recovery, reconstruction, and restoration, is growing and has opportunities for you to get on board and grow with them. Now hiring project managers, technicians, carpenters, and more. See for yourself why so many employees with Paul Davis of Northeast Indiana have enjoyed long-term and stable careers with plenty of opportunities for advancement. At Paul Davis, you will enjoy the family atmosphere and ever-changing work environment. You'll earn highly competitive pay and benefits. Ready to learn more? Text the word Paul to 46862 now to discover the opportunities and apply now. Text Paul, P-A-U-L, to 46862 to start the process on starting a rewarding career you'll be proud of with Paul Davis of Northeast Indiana, the restoration leader. Learn more and apply today. Visit whycallpaul.com or text Paul to 46862 from your phone. Paul Davis is an equal opportunity employer.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is so innovative, it not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals who serve them. With access to the latest technologies and remarkable benefits, transform your future at vacareers.va.gov.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these 2 things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
Welcome back. Week 7 edition of the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. Hey, look who joined us. It's John Graham. He's waving everyone and producing here the show. We're here till 7 o'clock, talking area high school football, and kicked it off with Brice Vance, as we do every single Thursday here at the top of the hour. But we were talking Northeast 8, and we, in particular, the 17-0 shutout of East Noble by Norwell last Friday. It was one of the more surprising games in the area. And we're going to talk more about that and everything Norwell Knights right now with the head coach, Josh Gerber, who joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not bad, Coach, and congratulations on a big win, the latest win for you guys, sitting at 5-1, and you guys just pretty much own East Noble at this point, back-to-back wins. How are you guys getting it done?
Well, I wouldn't say that we own them, but by no stretch of the imagination. I mean, you look at the last 10, I think we've only got 2 in that. So,
well, just talk about these 2, okay? We don't.
You know what? We're really pleased with how the kids played. It's been a fun year for us. We've got a great bunch of kids, young kids, and we asked a lot of them to take on bigger roles than what they've had after graduating a pretty substantial senior class for us, and it's been neat to see them grow each week, get a little bit better each week, and hopefully we can continue on that path and enjoy some more wins.
What was it that you guys were able to do last Friday against East Noble to keep them off the scoreboard? Because that's a team that 1 week before put 32 up on Leo.
You know, we tried to play a little bit more man coverage than we've ever played before, I think, and we put some young DBs in tough spots against some really good receivers, and they responded well. Cade Shelton, he matched up with Mr. Zolman all night and played really, really well. Really proud of Cade and how well he played for us. He picked one off, and we were able to create a couple turnovers, and that helped us immensely as well. Anytime you can create some turnovers, it improves the likelihood of getting a win. So, that stuff all helped us. We were able to run the ball effectively and chew up some clock and keep that explosive offense they have off the field.
I don't want to, marginalize the effect of that senior group you have, but that junior class, you mentioned just, a lot of young guys in the field and mixing in some sophomores as well. It was almost a must for these guys, that junior class, to step up this year based on what you lost a year ago to graduation, and they've exceeded at least outsiders' expectations. Have they met your expectations?
Yeah, I think so. You look at the seniors we have, we've only got 6 of them. They're great kids, work hard for us, provide some really good leadership, and we're thankful for them, but they're just not enough of them to get it done on their own. And so these juniors and sophomores have had to come into the mix. And like I said, we asked some of them to take on some pretty substantial roles on a Friday night. And I think back before the season started, we told people that we've got some really good players. They're not known in Northeast Indiana real well, but we knew them and we liked them, and we were pretty confident in their abilities. So, like I said, it's been neat to see these kids grow with each week and to see them progress. And hopefully, like I said, we can continue to do that.
One of the guys you lost to graduation a year ago was Eli Riley, and he was phenomenal at quarterback and a great DB for you. You look towards Leighton Bailey as the guy to step in Riley's absence behind center, a junior. What have you liked about his development? You know what? Leighton's he's a fierce competitor. I've loved that about him. We've asked him, and I feel like each week we try to expand his role as a quarterback. We only threw it 4 times last week. We need to do a little bit better job of that if we want to advance the tournament. We've got to be able to throw the ball a little bit more, but and to be effective in it. But Leighton every week learns, he grows. He's become more confident with what we're asking him to do. He's got a better grasp of the offense. He's getting people where they need to be, and he's growing as a leader. He's taking more control in the huddle, and I like to see that a lot. And we were remiss not to mention Luke Kraft. I mean, he seems to be a kid that, maybe fit, not very many people knew who he was heading into this season outside of Ossian, but he's been a tremendous impact player for you, both sides of the football, all season long. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Luke, he's a great kid. He's quiet by nature, but he's another kid who's really starting to step into that leadership role. He's a pretty physical football player. I don't think people realize that about Luke. He's not super tall, maybe 6'1", 6'2", and he runs weighs about 195, and he uses it well. He runs hard, and he's physical. He finishes his runs well. Just really happy with the progression he's made at running back, and then also as a linebacker. He was a corner for us last year, and we could have played him out there, but we wouldn't have been as good as a team. And he gladly stepped into the role as an inside linebacker for us. And his reads are getting better. He's more confident in knowing where he should be, and it's just neat to see him, just grow on both sides of the ball as a football player. Is Brody Bolin still growing by the day? I mean, it's like a half an inch and a couple pounds each day, it feels like. It seems that way, but he's holding pretty steady. Brody's kind of a weight room monster. He's a kid who loves it. He loves the grind in there. He works super hard. And Brody would have been a good football player without the weight room, but he's a really good football player because of the weight room and the time that he's put in. He's a strong kid. He's young for a junior. He hadn't been 16 for super long. And, he's a 500-pound parallel squat kid. And, it's pretty impressive what he's able to do being a 16-year-old kid. Coach, I want to ask you about the matchup coming up this Friday night. You go to DeKalb, and they're fresh off their first win of the season and being able to get it done in dramatic fashion. What have you seen out of Coach Wilcox's Barons? What do you need to be ready for?
you know what, they're going to play hard. They're well coached. They're going to play hard. Their team has grown with each week, and you can see it on the film, and they're going to be riding high after that first win. You know, big thing for us is going to be, to limit their offense. They've been pretty explosive, scoring 50 last week. We've got to play well defensively. We have to take care of the football, and we've got to be able to convert some plays of our own offensively. And I feel like I tell the kids this every week, but it's kind of the formula for success. Take care of the football, try to create some turnovers, tackle well, block well, and we think we have a chance. But Coach Wilcox is going to have his team ready to go, and we'll have our hands full Friday night.
Coach, I wanted to ask you a question, maybe a macro version of a program, and I talked about this with Coach Grant Mosier at South Adams, is, at some point as a coach, the goal is to reach a point where, yes, you lose an ultra-talented class, but there's another class, coming up right behind it and right after that, and you're able to sustain success. And I think, after a couple years for you of building this program up, it seems like you're reaching that point. Last year winning 10 games, on track to maybe do the same this year. How difficult is that, taking over a program and trying to get to the point where we don't have ebbs and flows, but this thing is kind of working like a machine and you almost kind of reload?
Well, it is difficult, and a lot of it's buy-in from the kids. It's, we'll start our 2022 season the Monday after Thanksgiving. And we don't have a lot of our kids in strength class, so we're lifting at 6:15 in the morning. And it's getting that buy-in and that commitment from those kids and the willingness to work hard and to put in the extra to be really good. Part of it's like just not relaxing as coaches and taking things for granted, staying humble and hungry. And we had a team meal tonight, and that's what we talked about with the kids, is being humble and hungry. It's not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less and focus on what you can do for the team and doing your role to the best of your ability, but staying hungry and working to become the best that you can become, because when you do that, we're all better. It's a lot of factors. It's not something we can ever take lightly and think that we've arrived, because we haven't. And about the time we do that, we'll stumble and fall and look pretty bad doing it.
Coach, I think the most impressive thing that you've done is you deal and handle Kelby Waybright on a daily basis. I think that's the most impressive thing out of everything you've accomplished.
You know what? Kelby's a great guy. He's been a great AD for us. He's very supportive of the program. Thankful to get to work for a guy like that.
Yeah, he's a good dude. But, Coach, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. 3 straight wins, 5 of 6 to open the year. You headed to Cal tomorrow to try to get win number 6. Good luck, buddy. We'll catch up to you.
Thank you.
That was Coach Josh Gerber, Norwell Knights, joining us, and his team 5-1 after last week's 17-0 shutout victory over East Noble, the second in 2 years over the Knights. It's the 3rd straight win for Norwell overall. Of course, that lone loss coming against Leo in a 41-7 setback in a game that maybe caught us off guard a little bit in terms of the lopsidedness of that final score. But Norwell 10-2 a year ago. They get to the sectional championship game against Concordia. They lose 24-0 at the Cadets. But you have to like the chances for Norwell this year in Class 3A sectional 27, as Concordia sitting just 1-5. And I know, you can kind of throw the records out when you're talking Concordia, but it's not as good of a Concordia team as it was a year ago. You look at Peru, you look at Oak Hill as potentially the 2 biggest hurdles in that sectional for Norwell. But it's almost that forgotten team in the Northeast 8. We always like to hype up Leo and East Noble entering the season, and Norwell is kind of that afterthought. And for the second straight season, they're opening plenty of eyes around the area. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the SAC coming up tomorrow night. Coach Doug Dinan will join us later in this half hour. You are listening to the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Get the latest knife info from the area's premier knife shop. Follow Blademans on Facebook and Instagram today and get the latest on what's happening at Blademans Knife Shop at the shops of Scott Road.
Hello, this is Mark, the owner of Blademans Knife Shop. I'd like to personally invite you out to the store to check out the area's best selection of quality knives. We carry Benchmade, Hogue, ProTech, Microtech, Emerson knives, Zero Tolerance, and many more. We have the best selection of premium knives anywhere within 100 miles of Fort Wayne. So come in and check out our great selection and have a cup of coffee on me.
Before you experience the world-class quality in store, see fresh inventory updates and limited-time specials at the Blademans Facebook page. Some inventory, unique colors, and new styles only stay in stock for a day or two. So be in the know and update your knife collection the smart way. Follow Blademans today. As always, 10% discount for police and military and on-site sharpening service. Join the community of premium blade buffs at Blademans Facebook and Instagram today.
Let's face it, replacing your and worry-free, which is why they're offering special no-interest financing up to 72 months. And as a high-volume dealer, Masters Heating and Cooling uses their buying power to get special savings and passes those savings on to you. Save money and save on interest with 72-month financing available now. Turn to the experts and a new Carrier heating and cooling system from Masters. Online at mastersheatcool.com.
We are Masters.
Terms and conditions apply.
For 25 years, Saturday mornings have been Fighting Irish preview time. I'm Phil Houck. Join me and America's foremost authority on Notre Dame football, Tim Priester, for the silver anniversary season of Fighting Irish preview.
Silver anniversary season? That means you're old.
Not exactly. Old, yes, but older and wiser. Wise analysis, wise predictions, and wise inside information. So, Saturday mornings at 10, right after Jim Shovelin and Talking Sports, tune in to Fighting Irish Preview on 1380 The Fan.
Do you run out of hot water at home? It's a great time to replace that old water heater with a new model from Richmond. Choose from over 20 models in stock with more available special order. Want even more savings? We have several models that are Energy Star rated. All water heaters are 11% off now at Menards. Good through October 2nd. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then, spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea, too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. Week 7 edition of the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham, here till the top of the hour. Talking area high school football. Thank you to Coach Josh Gerber before the break joining us. And on these very airwaves tomorrow night, it will be the Indiana Physical Therapy postgame show right after the Homestead Carroll football game, 7 o'clock kickoff. You can join Brett Rump and Shannon Griffith with all the action from Carroll Stadium. It's just one of the premier games in the SAC tomorrow night because Week 7 is rivalry week in the Summit Athletic Conference. And with that Homestead and Carroll game, it's been 6 games, 6 years since the Chargers last knocked off their rival. Last year, remember, Carroll gave up 70 points in that 70-41 game that was pretty much ridiculous, as neither defense could stop the other. Imagine scoring 41 points in a game and losing by 29 points. That's where the Chargers found themselves a year ago at Homestead. But the Chargers will try to end that 6-game losing streak to Homestead tomorrow evening. You can listen to all the action tomorrow night right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Elsewhere in the SAC tomorrow night, it'll be round 95 of the totem pole as Northside and Southside get together. Northside has won 3 straight in the series, holds a 54-39-2 advantage over the Archers since the first game way back in 1927. And when you look at a Northside team that sits at 1-5, and it hasn't been pretty at times, but they have played, of their 5 of their 6 games have been against Snyder, DeWanger, Carroll, Lures, Homestead. So could Northside be the best of the rest, so to speak? Their one win this year at Wayne. They have Southside, Northrop, and Concordia to end the regular season. So it's an opportunity for the Northside Legends to get some wins and really put some run together here entering the postseason. So Southside also sitting with a victory, of course, over Northrop in Week 2. And the Archers will try to hang around with Coach Tiny Lee on the sidelines tomorrow night. So that's something to look forward to over on the south side of town. And also coming up tomorrow night, Battle of the Bishops, Bishop Lures, Bishop DeWanger. We talk streaks in the Homestead Carroll game, 6 straight wins for Homestead. It's 5 straight wins in the series for Bishop Dwenger, and they've never lost to the Knights at Shields Field, where that game is tomorrow evening. And perhaps bigger than the game tomorrow, and it's very difficult to marginalize any game between Bishop Luers and Bishop Dwenger. But you look at Carson Clark, quarterback of Bishop Luers, who has a shot tomorrow evening to break the SAC's all-time passing record of 5,983 career yards. He's about 250, 260 away. Without looking it up, definitely doable for tomorrow night. The fascinating thing is the record is held by James Kanapke, who just so happens to be an assistant coach for Bishop Luers on the sidelines. So it will be kind of a surreal moment for Kanapke and definitely Carson Clark tomorrow evening if Clark can go ahead and break that record held by his assistant coach, Mr. Kanapke, in the Battle of the Bishops game, which I would think would make it all the more sweeter, particularly if Bishop Luers can get the win tomorrow night, stay undefeated in the SAC. So a lot on the line tomorrow at Shields Field. Bishop Luers looking to end the losing streak to Bishop Dwenger, looking to stay undefeated in the SAC. And, oh, by the way, Carson Clark to become the SAC's all-time leading passer in its history. So a lot going on at Shields Field tomorrow evening. You look at Snyder and Northrop tomorrow, Spuller Stadium. Snyder has won 23 straight in the series, so I expected it to be 24 after tomorrow night, and Concordia goes to Wayne tomorrow evening. When you look at the Cadets, they can pass the ball a lot better than people think, and Wayne can rush the ball a lot better than people think. I think Wayne wins that one, maybe by a touchdown or two, but that's the SAC rivalry week. Of course, in a couple years, the schedule will switch where we will have some rotations of the SAC schedule every 2 years. Yes, they'll still play 9 games against 9 conference foes. Don't get me started on that one. But we'll at least see some variety in terms of when they play those teams. So week 7, in terms of being a rivalry, may not be, something that continues after a couple weeks or a couple years from now. So enjoy it tomorrow. It's going to be a fun night in the SAC. We'll see just who can get some victories tomorrow evening. When you look at the Northeast 8, and this was a couple games last week that really surprised people, with New Haven shutting out Columbia City and Norwell shutting out Leo. East Noble and Columbia City get together tomorrow. So which of those teams is able to shake off week 6 and get a victory? And then you look at, Leo Huntington North game, which, between the running plays and the running clock, could be over by 8:15. And then New Haven trying to continue their upstart play lately. They'll go to Belmont and try to pick up a victory. Some of the sneaky games tomorrow are in the Northeast Corner Conference. We mentioned it earlier with Brice Vance. And Cherubusco at Central Noble is a good one. Fairfield at Garrett could be a good one. Lakeland and West Noble. It's just that jumble of teams in the NACC that are below East Side that are really fighting over a lot in the Northeast Corner Conference, particularly in that big school division. But, coming back to the SAC, and it's a big week this week with Rivalry Week and another good week next week. But if things hold, if Snyder wins their next 2 weeks of the season, and if Bishop Luers can win the next 2 weeks of the season, it sets up that huge showdown, Snyder at Bishop Luers at Luers Field, week 9, de facto SAC championship game. I can say with relative confidence that if it comes to fruition where that game can decide the SAC, the conference will give Snyder a 2-0 forfeit win over Southside. Again, remember that game that was canceled earlier in the season due to COVID with the Archers. That will be declared a win, so we can stop playing around with, what if Snyder is 1 win short of everybody else in the SAC. To be honest, I'm not sure why the SAC just hasn't come out and declared that now. They're almost hoping it doesn't become an issue at this point, but we can put speculation aside if they would just come out and count that as a 2-0 victory for Snyder. But I'm confident in that happening and it coming down the SAC. If both of those teams win the next 2 weeks, to a huge, colossal showdown at Lewis Field between Bishop Lewis and Snyder. Who really thought that would be the case with Snyder this season? They barely beat Northside on a long field goal at the end of regulation to win, and they fall just short of Carroll in week 2 in what was a good game, 29-28, Chargers win. But since then, it's been 3 straight wins, and Northrop, DeWenger, and Lewis to play out the string, and you have to like the way Snyder is playing football. Them and the Carroll Chargers both looking very good in recent weeks. But if you're looking for anything to do October 15th, circle that game on your calendar right now. Snyder at Bishop Lewis very well could decide the Summit Athletic Conference and who takes home the victory bell, and it will get a fresh coat of paint this year, as Homestead not in the running right now with 2 losses. They need a lot of help to have any type of shot in the SAC to win it for a 3rd consecutive season. A team that still has a shot to win the SAC needs some help, a lot of help, but is playing some good football. Carroll Chargers, they'll take on their rival Homestead Spartans tomorrow night. We're going to talk all about the Chargers with head coach Doug Dinan when we come back. You are listening to the High School Coaches Show on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One with a Thursday night football preview. AFC action coming up from Cincinnati as Joe Burrow and the Bengals play host to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals are 2-1 and coming off a big division win over the Steelers. Head coach Zach Taylor says his young Bengals could be special.
You look at the field position our special teams created. You look at the mindset our defense has played with for 3 weeks, the belief they have in themselves, and then the offense is capable of, on a moment's notice, of being explosive and scoring some points if we can get the ground game going. So I really think that the team believes in all 3 phases that we can do whatever it takes to win.
Jacksonville's off to an 0-3 start, but has seen promising play from their top draft pick, Trevor Lawrence. Ian Eagle and Mike Golick will call all the action from Cincinnati when the Bengals host the Jaguars on Thursday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long. Right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne Sports Station.
Syntec is back and better than ever at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is a premium full synthetic motor oil option at an affordable price. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec full synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $31.99. Syntec is formulated for today's engines to minimize friction, heat, and wear. Try Syntec today exclusively at
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started. Plus, 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, 0 heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. 0 heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
The first bet on Caesar Sportsbook app is up to $5,000 risk-free, people. When I told my team about the idea, they said I was being too wonderful and magnificent. But I don't care how awesome this makes me. I'm doing this for the people. So just download the app, and that first bet is up to $5,000 risk-free. Caesar made an app for the people, people.
Must be 21. Offer valid in Indiana only and for new players. Paid in bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. See Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
We all know ticks suck blood, but not just in the woods. Ticks can be almost anywhere year-round. Even though some are smaller than the head of a pin, they're big trouble. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So wear protective clothing and an EPA-registered If you get a tick, tell an adult and go to ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Ticksuck.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back for the final time here on the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny. He is John Graham producing as we are heading into the 7 o'clock hour here at the top of the hour, where we'll give way to Fox Sports Radio. And then coming up around 8 o'clock, it will be Thursday Night Football. It'll be the Jaguars and the Bengals from Cincinnati. A rematch between Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence with LSU versus Clemson in the national championship game a couple years ago. So we'll see how that goes. 0-3 Jaguars taking on the 2-1 Bengals. 8 o'clock, your coverage here on Fox Sports Radio. NFL tonight, high school football tomorrow here on the Fan 1380, and it will be the rivalry game between Homestead and Carroll. 4-2 Homestead, 5-1 Carroll, as the Chargers have won 5 straight since that season opening loss to Bishop Luers. Let's talk some Carroll football with head coach Doug Dinan, who joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, Justin. Thanks very much for having us on.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for taking some time to join us. And it's been a good run for you guys. You know, you go to Spohler Stadium in week 2 and narrowly beat Snyder, and that kind of started it for you. As now you've won 5 straight, and what's been working for you?
Oh, I think that there's been a great deal of senior leadership. They're the catalyst of the program, so we'll go as they go. Their hard work, their investment in each other, really has propelled us to be where we're at. And where we're at is, continually contending for a conference championship.
And it's been impressive, particularly over the last couple of weeks, getting back-to-back road wins before taking on your rival in Homestead this Friday night. And, Coach, it's not been a wow of a season for Jeffrey Becker in the stats department, but you to mention senior leadership and just being able to witness it from afar, he's that consummate guy that's taking control of this offense and being able to make reads and make audibles. And while maybe his numbers aren't as eye-popping, he's most definitely, still a game changer with this offense.
Well, we played 6 games, and one of those games he was unable to participate in, because he was quarantined. And several of the other games, he probably only played 2 quarters.
Sure.
And so when you take that all into account, yes, his numbers aren't going to be there, but I guarantee you if you ask Jeff, would you rather take the stats and the numbers or would you take the victories and championships? And I have a very confident feeling of where he would land on that whole situation.
Yes, I'm sure. And, one of the top targets for him and Owen Sheely this year has been Jamison Coverstone, another senior that stepped up. It seems like every single year the last few seasons, Coach, you've had a senior to step up in that wide receiver role. This year it's Mr. Coverstone.
Yeah, Jamie's done a great job, runs great routes, and has great hands. And, it really goes back to, those guys being program guys. Coach Papagiannis does a great job in coaching our receivers. And year after year, we got guys that play to the expectation, as we're supposed to and we're expected to all the time.
Coach, what's been different about this defense this season?
I think that the difference is probably there's a little bit of normalcy to, this year compared to last year. Honestly, I mean, it's we have embraced and welcomed, the full house, the fans in the stands and, things like that. That's one big difference. But the other difference is the culture that's in the locker room. And I think that's why we're where we're at. The kids are investing, the kids are caring, the kids love each other. And, when you have that relationship with others and everything starts with a relationship, then you're willing to work hard for somebody. And I think that's where we're at.
And you've had some solid performances on that side of the football. Dylan Bennett is a junior linebacker that's really stepped up, and it seems like on every big play he's around, whether he's causing fumbles or pick sixes or whatever. But, I think an underrated, group would be up front, and those guys in the secondary and the linebackers, look better when you're able to put some pressure on the quarterback, and it seems like you've been able to do that up front.
Yeah, the defensive line has played well, but, you started mentioning a couple names. We could mention 11 or 12 guys that are continually playing on the defensive side, and they're playing at a high level. They're playing competitively. They're playing very physical. They're playing with fire, and Tucker Steele's another guy. That every night in, night out, he is just dropping incredible stats. Every game.
All right, Coach, you got the big one coming up tomorrow night against Homestead, and you want to keep this roll going. And what do you guys have to be ready for?
Well, first of all, they've got a great program. Coach Zolman does a tremendous job. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be physical up front on the offensive line. They have the ability to run it and throw it. The quarterback has got impressive numbers, and he's had a good season so far. They've got receivers that they can throw it to. Defensively, they're always, known for their linebacker play, and that's no different this year. So, for us to be successful, it seems cliche, but it's very simple. You got to take care of the football. You got to create 3 and outs, and you got to get the other team off the field, and you got to make a difference in special teams.
And you get them at home, and it's a great atmosphere. It was great in week 1, opening kickoff return for a touchdown. But how have you settled into the new digs? How's it been for the team?
Oh, it's beautiful. Love it. We really are. We're very fortunate to have the facility that we have. It's outstanding. So, we're appreciative to the administration and everybody that, did all that they can and, put this forth so that we can have the opportunity to host, big events, like we have been.
Coach, you mentioned, still in the SAC race. You have Homestead and Concordia and Wayne left on the regular season schedule. What do you want to see out of your group over the next 3 weeks to be in contention for a victory bell, but also peaking at the right time entering the postseason?
Yeah, without question. We want to be playing our best football, come playoff time. We have that bye for that first week, and so, it's all about improvement. It's all about being better. It's all about 1% better every day. And so that's what we want. We want continually, to be better, to understand the bond, the force through, and persevere. You got to plan, and you've got to work, and you've got to, act on the plan. So.
Coach, this is looking way down the road. We're not going to talk matchups or anything, but it's the uniqueness of a 3-team sectional. And there's that bye week built in for 6A, and then from what I understand, there could be another bye for a team. Is that tough? Could that be detrimental? 2 weeks off, 3 weeks in between games?
Yeah, it's different. That's all I know. It's different. We've never had that before. And the reality is, it's out of our choice. And so we'll have to handle, whatever it is that comes our way. If that's 1 week off, good. If that's 2 weeks off, good. So, if you want to continue to play, you handle the situation and you show up on your Friday that you're scheduled to play and you move on.
Yeah, that's a long way off, but we'll be talking about it before we know it. Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Good luck tomorrow night against the Spartans.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Yes, sir. That was Coach Doug Dinan, Carroll Chargers. His team 5-1 this season. The lone loss being that Week 1 game against Bishop Luers in what, so far has been the closest game for Bishop Luers. Could we have seen the SAC championship game in Week 1 and not known it? Could be a possibility as we head down the final 3 weeks, the home stretch of the regular season. And, Coach Dinan made a great point because we kind of forget that Jeff Becker missed that one game and didn't play. And Owen Shealy, the junior, stepped in and was phenomenal in that win over Snyder. Threw a couple picks, but also threw 3 touchdowns and threw for 284 yards passing. So when you look at Jeff Becker just playing effectively 5 games thus far and already is accounted for over 1,000 yards of total offense, he most definitely has picked up where he left off a year ago. And he is South Dakota State bound next year as he'll be a Jackrabbit with one of the premier football programs in the FCS, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. That's going to do it for us here on the High School Coaches Show. Thanks to Mr. Brice Vance, KPC Media Group. Started off the show at the top of the hour. We then talked to Coach Josh Gerber, Norwell Knights. Broke down the Knights' 5-1 season, and then we brought another 5-1 team's coach in Coach Doug Dinan, preparing for the big rivalry games tomorrow night against Homestead, trying to end a 6-game losing streak to the rival Spartans. That's going to do it for us here to Week 7. We'll be back here to talk Week 8 and the eve of the sectional draw, as it will be a week from Sunday. So that'll give us even more to talk about here in a couple weeks. Thank you to John Graham, producer extraordinaire here in the booth. And thanks to everybody for listening. I am Justin Kenny. This has been the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Thanks for listening to this exclusive presentation of 1380 The Fan, the High School Coaches Show with Justin Kenny on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the podcast at 1380thefan.com or wherever you get podcasts.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know ticks suck. But what you might not know is that they don't just suck blood way out in the woods. Those creepy little bugs can be anywhere, all year long. And I do mean little. They can be smaller than the head of a pin. But big trouble comes in these small, gross packages. Even a tiny tick can make you super sick. So what's the most important tip to avoid getting bit? Well, duh, pay attention. Remember, ticks can be just about anywhere outdoors. Then spray attention with an EPA-registered insect repellent. Wearing long socks and other protective clothing is a good idea, too. When you come back inside, shower. And always remember, check for ticks everywhere. And if you do get a tick bite, don't panic. Tell an adult. And visit ticksuck.org to learn how to remove it properly. Ticks suck, but being outdoors shouldn't. Go to ticksuck.org for more information. Ticksuck.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
This is Brad Keselowski, driver number 2, Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Racing fans know that a quick pit stop to check the tires can give me the winning edge. The same is true for your car. Proper tire tread helps keep traction on the road in everyday driving. To check your tread, simply insert a penny, Lincoln's head first, into your tire grooves. If you can see all of Honest Abe's head, it's time to get your tires checked by a professional.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM.
Podcasts by Federated Media.